Please, can you hear the audio? Can you hear the audio now?
Yes, it's clear now.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. We'll soon start. The anchor tonight is having difficulty in joining the meeting, so as not to waste our time. Maybe we'll start.
Thank you everyone for standing by. We'll start the meeting now. I'll take the open prayer from here, and after which we'll proceed immediately for the meeting. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask and pray that even throughout the period of this webinar, you grant us the understanding to comprehend what to be taught in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We proceed for tonight in our webinar. Our speaker for tonight is from Uganda. And since we have different people from different parts of the world on this call, you permit us tonight to have the
Are you still there? Buffett, are you there?
National anthem. Thank you very much.
Can I be allowed to log in? Hello, host? Hello, host?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After the Uganda national anthem, sir.
I want to share my thing and
yes, sir. You'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do that, sir.
I'm a bit disabled for now. Hello? I'm disabled. Okay.
Sir, yes, sir. You can, sir. You can.
Okay. Are you guys seeing my slide? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can see.
Are you seeing my slide?
Yes.
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Yes, your slide is visible, but they want to play Uganda's
okay.
national item before we start. Just allow the anchor or the technical group to play the national anthem of Uganda before you start. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, everyone. Well, I know our speaker tonight needs to further introduction. Is one who is well known. As we can see already on our screen, our speaker is Dr. One from Uganda, from Makerere University, Uganda. Please join me, everyone, as I welcome Dr. One. You are welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My senior colleague, Dr. Rio, the members of the Secretariat of our association, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I want to take this time to welcome you. I want to welcome you to our webinar, the seminar 6. When I was preparing for this, around 7, I started feeling uncomfortable, like I'm not very well. I don't know why, but I have been eagerly waiting to talk to you this evening, except that looks like my blood pressure is a bit high, and so I may not be as eloquent as many of you would expect. Nevertheless, I thought I should be able to talk to you on a topic which many of you are familiar with. I am normally probably good at selecting easier topics to talk about at the seminar series. I want to thank the organization for what it has been doing, and especially for bringing a gentleman from South Africa who delivered very tough lectures for the past 2 or 3 times. And so mine is a much easier topic than the one that he presented. I want to talk to you on the structure of a research report and how to write it. I chose this topic particularly because I've been mining about colleagues who are still in the struggle, particularly those who are doing their PhDs. I thought that when I talk, probably they would cross-check what they are doing, and probably they may do it much easily compared to those of us who did it in the past. Colleagues, a research report is a very important thing. It is not only important for understanding the research you have done, but your research report demonstrates your quality as a researcher. So the way you write it tells us. Sometimes when we see articles that have already been published, we are even able to know that this might have been done by students other than a professor or a senior lecturer or somebody who has been in this business for a while. We just see your report and we know who you are. Therefore, how you write your report is very, very important. But the fact is that writing a report is very challenging, even to the accomplished researchers. Writing a report is never that easy, and there are many reasons for this. The first reason is that there are many different types of research reports we are going to be talking about, and you are not familiar with the other. So you may not say, for me, once I'm given a chance to write a report, I'll do it very well. It may not be true because there are different types of research reports that we normally write. The second thing is that the structures of research reports also vary. Sometimes it depends on what kind of research report you are writing. The structure, there may be a generic structure, but sometimes publishers demand you to present your report in a certain style that you may not be familiar with. Now, this evening, I just want to talk about the generic structure of a research report. But like I said at the beginning, I'm not feeling so well as I should have been. I will just try my best to say what I should say. I'm going to hit on the points. What is a research report? Why do we write a research report? What types of research reports are there? What are the generic elements of a research report? And how do you deal with it in this way or in that way? And I hope that by the end of my presentation, we would have probably learned something small here and there. So colleagues, what is a research report? We all know that a research report is an account of the research project that we would have undertaken. It is a written document outlining what we have researched about in terms of the problem we were trying to address, the processes through which we could have taken the study, the findings of the study, and probably our conclusions and recommendations all put into a written form. It is generally the first-hand account of the research process and outcomes. It details what you intended to investigate, how you investigated it, and what you have finally found out. Usually, a research report is considered as the summary of the research process, its findings, recommendations, and some important details that may be required, depending on the audience for whom you are writing the report. And a good report should therefore provide all the necessary information people should be able to know about what you have studied. Okay, so it is an account of your own study, and that is the reason why we should write it well. If you do not write the report of your research project well, nobody can understand what your study was all about. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, it demonstrates your quality too, not just knowledge about what you research about. How do you know that this is a report once you learn on one? Okay, because we said a research report is a written document detailing the processes and the findings of a study. So when you get a report and you get a proposal, you can easily know that, no, this is a proposal and this is a report. Because in a proposal, things like the findings of the study will not still be there. Things like the discussions that are common in reports will not be there. So you can know that this is a report when it has a description of what the research was all about, and also now the outcomes of the research is in it. The findings are there, then you know, this is a report. A report is normally written in a formal language, and this is something I may want to emphasize, because I've seen students sometimes getting very careless in writing the report with a lot of the I, they write in a very conversational manner. But that is not how a good research report should be written. A good research report is written in a formal language. Normally, for quantitative researchers, we prefer to write our reports in third-person pronouns. We don't use the I pronouns that qualitative researchers prefer. So you find the researcher is writing, but is distant from the subject of his investigation and report. So he refers to himself, the researcher, because he doesn't want to get indulged in the issues very closely connected to the research. But our colleagues in the qualitative research normally believe that they are part and parcel of the research process. And so they go ahead to write their report in first pronouns, I, and so on. It is allowed. And the debate is normally growing whether even quantitative researchers should do that, writing in first pronouns. A report is generally informative, and it is based on the findings of your study. This is whether it is a research project or just a reading assignment that somebody has given you. You can still write a report about it, but must be based on your findings or on your readings. A research report is generally structured in a certain manner. Sometimes if you are writing your report to be published in a journal, for example, the editors will give you sometime the structure of the paper that you should be able to write. Even conference organizers, like the one we are trying to organize for our association, we expect those who are going to contribute papers to write in a certain format. So reports are normally structured in a certain way. And sometimes reports include the recommendations of the researcher on how to change the status quo, okay? And also sometimes they recommend future studies in their field. Now, as I said, I'm hitting on the head because I'm not going to discuss so many things since my health is not as good as I wanted. Why do we write research reports? There are many reasons people can advance for why we should write reports. The first one is that a report serves as a means to effectively communicate what we would have investigated, and therefore it is a means for disseminating our findings to those who did not participate in the study. We would wish them to know what we studied and what the findings of our study is all about. It is therefore a means for transferring knowledge from the researcher to the public or to the audiences, different audiences, maybe sponsors, maybe examiners, and the general public. It is also a tool for accountability for the resources that we use in research, particularly for us academics. When we get research grants, we have to account for that money by producing our report to the sponsors. A research report shows what has been done while hinting on indicating the knowledge gaps that might still be remaining that our studies have not addressed. And in most cases, we show this in the discussion section. We are able to show that, yes, we have done this, but there are still gaps here. A research report also helps us to understand at a glance the state of what has been investigated. Now, Colleagues, I may not continue, looks like. I'm really feeling weakened as I started talking. I don't know what I can do. Dr. Rio.
Please, can I help you to continue from this end? Since I have your PowerPoint.
Please, I'll be very grateful because I'm now
Thank you
feeling a
very
little
much.
bit bad.
So you can please you can unshare your screen, then I will share from this end. Thank you. Hello, please, I'm trying to share from my end here, please. Okay. Thank you for your patience. I think I have the flyer now. We are very grateful, Dr. One. I pray that the Lord will give you quick recovery in Jesus' name. We know that it's really sacrifice for you you don't want to say no to any of our requests. The Lord will reward you. Just as the presenter has been saying, why do we write research reports? Well, he has explained to us that it is a tool for accountability for the resources used in research. But apart from this, it's a report that shows what has been done. And when we talk about what has been done, we mean that what the previous researchers have already done on that particular topic or that title. And the researcher will also report the gap he's trying to fill. And then you will be able to tell us his finding after he has done the research. So the research report helps us to understand at a glance the state of what has been investigated. Also, it helps it is a time efficient Hello, can we hear me? I had a challenge with my network. Please, can we hear me? Can anybody hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. So, as I was saying, it is a time-efficient and practical means of detailing the findings of researchers' work for different audiences. Not only that, the report will help to market the researcher and his or her works. There are some of us that have been very useful to the association. The secretariats are not seeing us physically, but because of our work, because of our research finding, because of publication, we'll locate each other. And since we have the same mind, we are able to come in and help other colleagues. Now let's look at the types of research reports. The presenters or the writer have categorized them under 3 subheadings. 1, by nature of research. 2, by target audience. 3, by purpose of publication. Let's look at the first one. When we are talking about by nature of research, there are different types of research. There's what we call a qualitative research report. We have the one we call the mixed method research reports. And then the last one, which we call the third one, a quantitative research report. Let's try to define or explain each of them. When we talk about a qualitative research report, it's a report outlining the methods, processes, and findings of a qualitative method of systematic investigation. And the second one, we talk about a mixed method research report, is the one that is written to communicate the processes, methods, and findings of both quantitative and qualitative research. Then the quantitative research report is written to communicate the processes, methods, and findings of a quantitative research. So by now, we should be able to distinguish between qualitative research and quantitative research. I think we are also aware that when we are writing paper, we can categorize it into 2. We call it position paper and empirical research. So more often, we always encourage ourselves to delve into empirical research. Let's look at the second one, the target audience. Well, when we talk about the target audience, the author have grouped them also into 2. One, a technical research report is a detailed document that you present after carrying out industry-based research. And you know that when this is your target, that you want the report to be utilized, maybe something that is practical, something that organization has already sponsored. So please, it depends on. Okay, you cannot see the slide again.
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you see the slide?
We are only seeing the previous slide.
No, we are only seeing Dr. X slides, not yours.
Okay.
That's what we are seeing.
Okay, can you see my own slide now? Okay, let me see if I can. Let me read.
I can see the slide.
Dr. Screen is still there. It has to be on share so that you can come.
Only the first slide we are seeing.
This slide, we've touched this before.
Please, can you see the slide now? Can you see it?
It's not yet, Doctor.
Okay, let me try from this end again to show it.
I can't see the slide from this end.
Okay, I'm trying to reshare it. Let me reshare it.
Sir, this slide that is on the screen is the slide for the previous one, sir.
Okay, can you see it now? I've reshared again. Can you see the slide?
Yeah.
All right,
can
sir.
you see the slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it is visible now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible by every one of us?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are trying to discuss the target audience. The second of them may be that a popular research meanwhile is a report intended for individuals who don't necessarily have any knowledge of the field of study. That is information contained in newspaper and magazine. So it depends on the audience. If somebody is sponsoring your research, there is a goal, there is a purpose why you are doing that research, and you are going to give report back to your clients. But if you are writing just for general knowledge, like a newspaper and magazine, so the type of the reports will be different. A dissertation or thesis is a research report or an extensive paper submitted by a student as a requirement for earning a degree or an award at a university or other institution. Another purpose of publication may be a conference paper, which is generally a short and a more precise paper that reports on a study that is presented at a conference. Other time we may be writing for a journal. It may be a journal article about a subject that has recently been researched or reviewed and written by an expert in that field. Research papers can also be for the purpose requirement, maybe partial fulfillment as a student at a university or college. I haven't seen this figure. Let's answer another question. What is the generic structure of a research report? Yes, I group it into two. When we have natural science and when we have social science or humanity. If we are talking about we're in the field of natural science, the first thing we would write about, there are some similarity, and you can see that they are written pari passu. We talk about the title page, we have the preliminary pages, we have the main body. And under the main body of the reports, we should have the introduction and background, which will include the purpose and research objective. After this, we have the methodology or method and materials. After we have described the methodology that was employed, then we now discuss our findings, that is our results. Based on our findings, there will be discussion. Our discussion should be related to our findings and also previous studies, previous researchers' findings, whether it's our present study collaborates or is not collaborating what other people already found out. Then we now make interpretation and then we conclude. Then we have recommendation, references or bibliography. But if you are in the field of humanity, this is how it goes. We still have the title page, preliminary pages, main body, which under main body we have introduction and background. Then we have the literature review, we have methodology, we have results or findings, and then discussion, interpretation, and conclusion. Then we have recommendation, references or bibliography, and appendices. Now, what do these elements of a research report entail? The author, the writer has told us that when we talk about the preliminary pages, that is before we actually come to the main work, we have what we call title page. This identifies the title of the report, the name of the researcher, the name of the institution, month and year of submission. Then we have the title. It's saying that the title should be concise description of what the research is all about. So whatever we are writing, whatever is our report, the one step leads to another. In fact, the title must link to the problem, must lead to the objective, must lead to the investigation, must lead to methodology, data collection, data analysis, results. So from one step to another, there is a synergy. Then the preliminary page will also contain acknowledgements. This page permits the writer to express appreciation to persons and institutions who have contributed significantly to the research. Table of contents. The table of contents is an outline of the report that indicates the page number on which each major section and subsections begins. Now, we also have the list of tables, a list of all the tables included in the reports, along with their page number. Then we have the list of figures, a list of all the figures included in the report, along with their page numbers. Then we have the abstract, an overview of the report, highlighting the methods, data collection process, and research findings presented in the view words, usually between 100 to 500 words. These, all this what we have said may be structured or may be unstructured, but let me emphasize on the abstract. You know, everything, the research report is a technical report. And when we say we are writing abstract, it's technical. There are certain things that must be in our abstract, where many writers start with introduction. But those who are not expert, their introduction may even take half of a page. If you are writing for journal article or you are writing for conference paper, this is part of what they will look at. Where if you just stop at introduction, your abstract will not scale through. In your abstract, we want to see the problem of study. We want to see the purpose of your study. We want to look at your methodology, data collection, and your results, and then your recommendation and your conclusion. So after this, you are expected to write 4 or 5 keywords that is related to your title. Now, the author has tried to guide us on how to write an abstract. If you are a postgraduate student, or you want to be you are a PhD student, you know that after you are done with the faculty, the first thing that will make you to jubilate is if your abstract is acceptable by the School of Postgraduate Study. So Dr. David One has already helped us by this guide on how to write an abstract. And these are the questions that will come to your mind in order to be able to write good abstract. Number 1, what was your study all about? So you have to check up, you have to ask yourself, what is my study all about? Then number 2, what prompted the study? What prompted the study? These are questions that will guide you in writing a good abstract. Then you ask yourself, how was the study carried out? How was the study carried out? Number 4, what were the key findings? What were the key findings? Then what conclusion did you draw from your study findings? And what recommendation did you make? I wish that everybody that's going to attend our conference in October, they are here tonight to learn how to write abstract, because the scientific committee have decided that it's not mandatory that every paper or abstract that people write to submit in the conference should be accepted, because this is an innovative association. We are looking for quality. So we had the opportunity that we are being trained tonight how to write an abstract. Somebody will not just say, I want to present paper in our next conference. I will just write anything. I will think that it will go through, or it will through. No. So we are being taught to how to write abstract. I believe that after this presentation, those who are not here, we are going to share our thoughts, or whatever we have learned, we are going to share with those who are not here. Now, Dr. One has tried to give us sample of an abstract. Let's have this title: The Effect of Internationalizing the Student Community on Graduate Student Global Citizenship, a Case from Uganda. This was written by Justin Ayebare and David One. Let's see how the abstracts go. This article examines the effect of internationalizing the student community on graduate students' demonstrated commitment to global citizenship at a university in Uganda. It has rose from a sequential explanatory survey study. Quantitative and qualitative data were gathered from a sample of 180 graduate students, with the former analyzed employing descriptive and inferential statistics, while the latter were analyzed using thematic content analysis. The quantitative results revealed that an internalized student community has a statistical significant positive effect on graduate students demonstrated global competence, but not on their demonstrated commitment to social responsibility. The qualitative findings
I don't know if it's the same
produce
with
similar
everyone,
results.
but my screen
They
is still
reveal that
showing
the presence
Dr.
of
One's
international
screen.
students
And
on
some people are
campus,
saying the same on the
coupled with
chat
graduate
as well.
student participation in international activities such as conferences and intercultural activities, promoted their commitment to global citizenship. These findings I have a network problem. I believe you can hear me now. Can we hear me again?
Yes, Doug.
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can hear you
I can hear
clearly.
you now.
Yes, sir, we can hear you,
Okay,
sir.
please let me try and share the screen again. So Dr. One has given us a sample of an abstract, and I think it's well written. All the components of a good abstract is there. Let's quickly look at the sample 2 now. The title of this one is Great Inflation in the College Classroom. Purpose. The purpose of this is, it was written by Jan Tucker and Barry Kos. Purpose. The purpose of this article is to assess the concept of great inflation in higher education institutions in an effort to determine its prevalence, causes, and strategies which can be implemented to curtail it. Design through methodology, through approach. A literature review of the problem is presented along with several strategies as possible solution to restraining the problem of escalating grades in the college classroom. Findings. The problem of grade inflation, and there are no quick fixes or simple methods of reversing this trend, but there are several alternatives presented which could help curtail this trend. Research limitation / implication. Most of the research is based on anecdotal research. Very little has been written on how to fix this problem. Practical implication. This paper brings this issue to the forefront in an effort to engage the reader, college administrator, and educators. Social implications. This paper is the building block for future research on this topic. The culture of the college classroom, teaching and learning could be affected by this issue. The hiring, training, and evaluation of college instructors could be imparted if colleges and universities choose to investigate the issue of grade inflation at their institution. Originality of value. The paper begins with an overview of previous research in this area and then moves on to what is currently being implemented to curb grade inflation. The author then proposed several methods and possible solutions which could be implemented to deal with this problem. This was adapted from Journal Foresight, year 2010, volume 12 issue, 1 page. Let's move on to the next. What does the body or text of a research report entail? Now, we are not talking about the introduction section. We have looked at the abstracts, and with the example that we are seeing, you see there are different patterns. Now, the real work now begins, and that is the introductory section. The introduction section provides the rationale for the study. It may include the theoretical frame of the study within which the research has been conducted, the background information of the topic, as well as useful and interesting facts for the reader. The introduction begins with a description of the research problem or topic and includes objective, significance of the problem, research question, sometimes statement of hypothesis, if there is anyone. It also includes the assumptions of the study, definition of important terms, limitation, and delimitation of the studies. So this is expected, this is what is expected when we are writing introduction to our reports. Now, the author of this paper has tried to explain to us how to write the introduction section. He has identified 4 common approaches to writing the statement of the introduction. Number 1, he called it the 4-perspective model. By this, he meant where the introduction is written, taking into account the historical, theoretical, conceptual, and contextual perspective of the research problem. Another type is the funnel-shaped model, where the research introduction or background is written, starting by describing the broader to the narrower perspective of the problem, or from the global, continental, regional to the local context. I think this second approach is very, very common. You start from the broad, then you go to specific. For example, if I want to write about education, I will first of all talk about the emphasis or the importance of education globally. I come back to my country, talk about the nature of education, or the state of education in the country. I come specifically to the school system I'm writing about, and now narrow everything down to the title of my paper. So that is a funnel-shaped model. The third model is the known to unknown model, where the statement of the introduction or background is written beginning by stating the known information about the problem and proceeding to point out what is unknown about the problem. And then the final one is the integrated model, where the statement of the introduction is written while taking care of what are considered in the other 3 models. Now, after we have done this, you recall that he now told us that after we have stated after the introduction, we need to bring in review of related literature. The review of related literature indicates what is known about the problem or the topic. Whatever idea you have, you want to study or you want to investigate, somebody already does something on it. So you don't just start from the scratch. You have to read, you have to study about ideas, about people's experiments or people's reports, people's research finding on the concept you want to investigate. Then it is an exploration of what has been written about the topic under investigation. That is literature review for you. Its function is to educate the reader about the area under study. It is often structured following the research objectives. It needs to be well written in a simple language. Now we come to the third stage in the reports, and that is the methodology. This section provides a detailed description of the methodology used in the study, e.g., you have to talk about the population, the sample size, the sampling techniques, and tools used in the study. Then you need to state the purpose. You need to describe in detail how a researcher performed the study so that someone can replicate the study based on the information that a researcher provides in this section. If it is a qualitative study, this section may also include a detailed description of the nature and length of interaction with the study participant. While for quantitative research, this section describes the statistical techniques or the inferential interpretation that will apply to the data. If it is in a mixed method study, the structure is expected to describe how the quantitative and qualitative aspects I believe one of these days we are going to overcome this fluctuation in networking. So let me try and share the screen again because of the network problem. Please, can we see my slide?
Yeah.
Is the slide visible? Thank you.
Yeah,
yes. Thank you. So we are now discussing the results of finding section. In the results section, the researcher tells the reader what was found in the study. For quantitative study, the section will include the descriptive statistics for the relevant variables. For example, we talk about the mean and standard deviation. Then the statistical tests you use to test your hypothesis and what you found for quantitative study. But for qualitative research, the section contains the narratives and description of what the researcher find out during the study. It's after we have written or we have compiled our findings, then we don't leave our finding undiscussed. So we now come to the discussion section. We need to also know that this section is technical. There are when you are discussing, there are certain things that we want to see. Let's look at it as it goes. It often comes after result findings, or it may be integrated together. This section involves discussion, literally meaning writing about something from different perspectives or angles. In a scholarly paper, this is a section where the author places his or her study in his own context and in the context of other studies. According to Alex Lee 2010, the discussion explains what the study result mean and what contribution the paper makes to the area of study. You will agree with me that if you are a postgraduate student, whenever you present your project or you are trying to develop your project or your thesis, there is a common question they always ask: what has your study contributed to knowledge? So this process of writing your discussion, we want to see how your paper or your research, you have to explain how it has contributed to existing knowledge. Its main function is to answer the research question posed in the introduction and to use the study's result to pose and answer. That is according to Foot 2009. Now, how do we write the discussion section? We are grateful to Dr. One. He is a teacher. One, he has told us that there are different approaches to writing the discussion section, but most commonly, we conceptualize our results or findings in relation to our study, hypothesis, objective or question, and other studies. To write this section, it is advisable to get back to your study purpose, research question, hypothesis. Bring out the key result vis-a-vis the hypothesis or question objective. Compare and contrast these results with other studies on the same issue. According to Doherty and Smith, 1999, a discussion should be prepared in the following order. 1, bring out the statement of key findings. 2, show the strengths and weaknesses of the study. 3, show the strengths and weaknesses of the study in relation to other studies. 4, bring out the meaning of the study, possible mechanism and implications. And finally, 5, bring out the unanswered question and future research. So you see that research report is very technical, and you, at this session, you know what you are supposed to write about. And when people read your reports, you will be able to provide answer to their question. Now, another approach to writing discussion is as follows. Start with providing the essential interpretation based on key findings, and remember to include supporting evidence. Second, compare and contrast your findings to previous studies. Highlight the strengths and limitations of the study, and then discuss the unexpected findings. Finally, summarize the hypothesis of the study, highlight the significance of the study, and discuss the unanswered questions and the potential for future research. Finally, the conclusion section of the report. Here in the conclusion section, the author presents the lesson learned from the study. So in this section, we draw the conclusion from the study findings and the discussion done. The conclusion then summarizes the outcomes, stresses the experiment's value, and anticipates further advances on the topic. They should be preferably written in present tense, past tense, turns them into another set of results or discussion. As a rule, no citation is needed in this section. It is better to list the points that constitute the conclusion before writing the narrative text. The author would like us to remember the following. In the conclusion section, you remind the reader of what they have just read. This means that your conclusion should restate your hypothesis or research finding. You restate your major findings. Tell the reader what contribution your study has made to the existing literature. Then highlight any limitation of your study. Measures to be implemented on the findings of your research. If your work has achieved interventions or packages that are of direct targeted use, then present them to constitute the recommendation. Not all research efforts lead to recommendation. They may only lead to intermediate outputs, not for direct public use. Recommendations should be strictly derived from the conclusions, and they should be written in the policy language. Attempt to show who should do what and how. It is common for authors to present recommendations foreign to their research outputs. Avoid this. Let me emphasize 3 things from this writing recommendation. Number 1, we should take note that conclusion comes before recommendation. So conclusion comes before you write your recommendation. Number 2, recommendation must be based on your research finding. Don't recommend anything outside your research finding for future studies or future research. And then finally, recommendations should be strictly derived from the conclusion, and they should be written in the policy language. Now let's look at examples of finding, conclusion, and recommendation before we come to a close. Now, on the findings, we are told that nearly 75% of the recruiters in the study indicated that they were likely to hire a candidate who was involved in extracurricular activities. Conclusion: active involvement in extracurricular activities is an important job selection criteria. Recommendation: students should be involved in several extracurricular activities prior to seeking a job. Now let's look at the reference section, which is the last aspect of our reporting system. The reference section provides the reader with all the information needed to seek out and obtain all original sources used in the research. It is usually written in the alphabetical order and following a particular writing style, e.g. APA, Harvard, MLA, Chicago, and so on. Now, what exists after the body or text of a research report? We have what is known as appendices. This section provides a place for important information. It includes tools prepared by the researcher and used in the study. It may be lettered, interview names, raw data, and data analysis sheets. Now, the question is this: what are the qualities of a good research report? And the author has itemized the following. 1, have a clear title, headings and subheadings logically arranged. 2, precise and concise, that is, include everything that is relevant and exclude anything that is irrelevant. Written in a simple and unambiguous language. Then a good research report will be devoid of researcher biases. It's devoid of grammatical mistake. Is suitable for the targeted audience, and is appropriately addressing the subject matter, and it be formatted in the recommended templates or formats. What are the challenges faced in writing a good research report? 1, lack of writing and communication skills. We have to improve on our communication skill. Someone is asking, how can I improve on my writing? How can I improve on communication skill? It's through reading. You have to read widely. When I was doing my PhD and I approached one of the lecturers, so he was the one who advised me that I had to read widely. I had to read. He said, I think if I remember what he told me, he said, go and read and read and read for the next 6 months. And I used to get to library in the morning, just leave the library to go and eat. And in the night when the library is closing, we close together. So I was able to read. I was able to read my before PhD. But I just discovered that by reading and reading valuable projects, I found out that some projects you easily understand as they are writing. Some projects you will not enjoy their writing. So before I know it, I begin to follow those people that write and you enjoy their writings. So that is how to improve on your writing skill. There is no other means. It's just by reading and reading. Read good material and you see that you'll be able to improve on your writing and communication skill. Number 2, lack of clarity in research findings. Number 3, lack of good knowledge of the methodology. Number 4, inability of finding up-to-date literature or related references. What Dr. Une is trying to tell us is that you must know where you are going. You must know where you are going. If you want to go in the particular place, you should know where you are going. So there must be clarity in research finding. you must have good knowledge of the methodology. You must employ the correct or the right methodology in your study. Then you should be able to find an up-to-date literature or related references. Number 5, lack of understanding of the subject matter, lack of time, poor report templates. So these are issues that we have discussed tonight. So I want to appreciate Dr. One for a job done. And as he said, many of us, we enter into academics without anybody teaching us all this, but free of charge tonight, he has been able to help our new entrants into the field of academics. And with what Dr. One has put down for us tonight, I believe that everyone will find research interesting, especially in writing our reports. Thank you very much. I think with this, we have come to the end of the presentation. So I now hand over to the anchor. I think the anchor now is in the house. So let the anchor take over from here so that we can have question and answer. Over to you, our anchor.
Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation. Thank you so much. Yeah, quickly, just like you said, let's jump right into the question.
Hello,
and
is
answer
our
session.
anchor in?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Yes, I think he's in. Can you unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted already.
Over to you, peace, wherever you are.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, Miss Peace, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's time
Loud
for
and clear.
question and answer. I believe that a number of us should have questions. So please, if you do have question, raise your hand using the reaction, or you can drop your questions in the chat box. So if you drop it in the chat box, I'll read it from here. If you signify by using the raise of hand emoji, then I would give you the chance to do that. All right, so let's quickly do that because it's a little past the time. So I think I'll just pick the first 5 to indicate that they have questions, then we move on from there. All right, I'm waiting. So I'm picking the first 5. I can see one hand already. Please, if you feel you will express better using the chats, go ahead. I'll count it with a 5 before we cross it. All right, I think while I wait for the other 3, I have 2 already. So I think we should start with Bolaji Modupe. Oh, all right. I think she dropped off. I'll keep us a slot for her. Let me have Ayomide Balogun. Ayomide Balogun. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Thank you.
Good
very
evening. You're welcome.
Thank
What's
you
the
very
title,
much for
please?
What do you say?
What's the title?
I want to ask a question.
Yes, please go ahead. I was just asking for your title.
Mr. I'm a
Oh.
postgraduate student, sir.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much for this wonderful teaching. It's very, very wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. Now, from what our doctors have read out, he said he's talking about something about recommendation. Can you hear me, ma? Hello, can you hear me?
Very clearly,
Yes,
please go ahead. Very clear. Go ahead.
He's saying something about recommendation. He said conclusion comes before recommendation. Recommendation is based on the study. And that says something. He said it must be written in a policy language. I want to understand that concept. Which policy is he talking about? I don't understand that policy concept. Hello? That's my question.
Okay, yes. Maybe let the second person also ask his question so that we can save time, because we still have some other thing we do after the question and answer. Yes, Anchor, you can allow the second person to ask his question.
Okay, I think she tripped off the call. I don't know if she's back now. Let me just do a check. Meanwhile, I have 3 more slots for whoever would have a question. So please indicate or drop your question in the chat box. Just 3 more slots, then we'll have it for the day. Meanwhile, Bolaji Modupe, yeah, I think she was the one that raised her hand. Yeah, so your slot is still here. Go ahead and ask your question, ma. You are muted. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, but can anyone hear me? Seems she can't hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Okay, let's provide the answer to the first question. When you are writing on recommendation, what we are saying is that your recommendation must be based on your research findings. Let me give you an example in medicine. You are not feeling fine, and a good doctor will say, please go for a test, go to laboratory for a test. And after that, they get a scientific result. So it's based on your results. This guy is going to recommend drug. And he will not say because your temperature is high, you will recommend a drug that he prescribed to somebody who came yesterday or before you. But it's based on the finding from the laboratory reports. It's going to recommend drugs. So in education, we always have make that mistake. You find out that somebody is doing a research on a particular thing, and when he's making recommendation, we'll be saying government should try and fund, and should fund university, fund this and that. The question is, your research finding is it related to funding? Is it every recommendation must be that government should fund education? So what we are saying is that there is a policy. The policy is that try and let your recommendation be based on your research finding. And that is what we are trying to say. And the Dr. One have also told us we should look at the conclusion. And the conclusion is the summary of the whole work, right from the title to introduction to methodology to result to your analysis and your results and all your discussions. Then you have your summary. So your recommendation, so when you have summarized, the conclusion will help you in your recommendation. So your recommendation must be related to your conclusions and all the other things that you have found from your research. I don't know whether you are satisfied with the answer. Are you satisfied? The person who has a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'm satisfied, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. I will also appreciate the experienced professor in the house. If they want to add to what I've said, please, they are free to do so now. In the absence of further... Okay, so you can go ahead, the anchor.
I think while we wait for recommendations, we have like 3 other people raising their hands to ask the question. Let me take Dr. Roslyn Ifeoma. Please go ahead with your question, ma.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Please, I want to ask the presenter. Thank you very much, the presenter, for doing a very good work. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Thank you. Thank you for your participation.
It's wonderful. God bless you. I want to ask, when can a researcher sample? In a population, when do we say that a researcher can sample, when the population is large, when do we deem a population to be large? Is it when it is 200, when it is 1,000, 5,000? I know that population is large when it is above 50. Is it that time that will now go for sampling, that's using any kind of method, maybe the statistical method of Tarayamini or any other method? When? Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for asking that question. There are many people that do not know the meaning of population and what we mean by sample. Let us start with the population. When we talk about population, we are not just talking like taking census, like we do. We want to know the population of citizens in Nigeria. When we are talking about research, that is not the kind of census we are talking about. For example, I want to carry out a research about it's a research I want to conduct in a school, and my target audience is I take a particular province or a particular state. Let me say I want to carry out a study in Oyo State of Nigeria, and this study is limited to SS3 students in Oyo State. Now, remember that the study will be carried out is limited to Oyo State. So the study is not meant for the whole Nigeria. This study is meant for Oyo State. So after I've finished carrying out my study, my generalization, my recommendation will be for Oyo State, maybe for Oyo State educational system or Oyo State government. So I know my study is meant for Oyo State. But then, even though it's meant for Oyo State, it's not everybody in Oyo State that is my population of this study. Remember, at the back of my mind, I want to study, my study is for SS3 students. SS3 students in senior secondary school in Oyo State. So when I'm talking about population of my study now, my population of my study is all SS3 students in Oyo State Secondary School. That is how to interpret what we mean by population. All SS3 students in senior secondary school in Oyo State. So it is possible for me to know, to have the statistics. So I may go to, if they keep records in the Ministry of Education in Oyo State, and I want to find out from, before I start my study at all, I want to find out how many schools do we have in Oyo State? Precisely, how many senior secondary schools do we have in Oyo State? They will tell me. Then I will ask them, please, do you have the statistics of number of SS3 students in each of the schools in Oyo State? So I will now have a kind of a summary. So I now say, okay, in Oyo State, the number of SS3 students in Oyo State are 500,000. So before I started my study, already I've done the investigation, I know the population. So in my report, I may even say the population of this study is 500,000. Somebody asked me, how did I come to that figure? I went to the Ministry of Education, and they always do their work, so I rely on their statistics. But in case you don't have the time and you don't have the opportunity, or they are not taking records, when you are writing your report, what you just say, when you want to talk about population, you say, the population of this study consists of all SS3 students in Oyo State. Now, the sample leads to population, or population leads to sample. Now, when you talk about the sample size, we have had one of our presenters who has taught us about sample size. That is Professor Adewale some times ago. There are two schools of thoughts that, you told us that one is old, one is new. And when you study the two, you now decide which of the method you want to use to decide what will be your sample size. What percentage should you use? So when you have a population, you don't just say, I am taking 5% of the population, I'm taking 2% of the population, I'm taking 10%. You have to go to literature. And Professor Adewale taught us that there are two schools of thought. So, and they have their formula that you will use to compute what is your sample size. So you cannot finish this today. So please, just look for literature and see and learn how to determine sample size. So you now determine your sample from the available population. Since now you have proper understanding what the population is all about, you now determine the sample size. And then you must also know what we call sampling technique. There are different types of sampling technique. You have the random simple random technique, you have stratified, and so on and so forth. So you have to decide which of the method or sampling technique you want to use. So these also are very, very important before you start your research. Thank you,
very
Doctor. I
much,
don't
sir.
know whether I've communicated anything to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, so I have influx of questions in the chat box. I think I'll just read about 2 or 3 together, and then I'll take maybe 2 other questions from the people raising their hands. So I'll take this question from Ajibade Victor. The question is, please, I need information on when to use research questions and hypotheses. I think I should add that to the question from Bolaji Modupe. Please, I want to know, is citation necessary in abstracts?
Okay. Let me start. Can I be, because of time?
Yes,
Let me
please go ahead,
start
sir.
with Bolaji's question. Yes, you don't need any citation in abstracts. You don't need to quote any author when you are writing your abstracts. So just go ahead, follow all those steps we have said. You start with introduction. Introduction is not compulsory. When you become an expert in writing abstract, you don't even need an introduction. But if you are not yet an expert, you can have a kind of introduction in your abstract. The first thing is you have to tell us the purpose of the study, the problem of the study, the methodology, the results, the end, your recommendation, and then your keywords. Those are the things that must be in the abstracts. You don't need any citation. Now, another person is asking, when do we use research questions and when do we use hypotheses? Now, research questions are raised to guide our study. You know, research is a study, and you need to be guided by some research question. Research can be very, very wide, but you have to limit yourself. You cannot research into all the problem in the world. You just take one. You want to do one research at a time. And now in that your research, even if you take a topic, you attend, maybe you are 15 students, postgraduate students in a particular class, and all of you decide to write on the same title. Maybe you just chose the same topic. Yes, if you have an experienced supervisor, he may even have said that all of you are taking the same title. But then your research may be different because it is your research question that determine your findings. So if your research question, your topic may be the same, but your research question may not be the same. So the research is to guide the study, and all you are trying to do as you are doing your research is to provide answer to those research questions. Now, what is the difference between research question and hypothesis? And when you use hypothesis, you have to provide, you are testing something, and so you must have a way of providing solutions. For example, if it is an experimental study, you should be able to provide. For example, if you are using hypothesis now, you may need to use inferential statistics, and that means you are testing something, and then you'll be able to provide solution to those things, answer to those things that you are testing, or provide solution to what you are testing. So principally, those are the major difference. Mostly when we are writing articles for journal presentation, we limit ourselves to research questions instead of going into the hypothesis. And as Dr. Nyawale told us in his last presentation, if you were there, he told us that you don't need to repeat yourself. If you have research questions that are provided answer to your study, you don't need to bring up again hypothesis that is saying the same thing that you are providing answer for in your research question. Thank you. I think that's the answer I can provide to that question. I don't know whether they are satisfied.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. For want of time, I think I'll just take 2 more questions, or okay, let's just see how that goes. Meanwhile, I'm getting people asking how they can get the video and the slides. Yes, the slides will be sent to you.
Let me answer that. For those who want the slide and especially the recording, you have to, there must be a difference between financial members and those who are not financial members. The financial members are those who pay their membership fee. That is, they really love this association and they want their names to be in the book of full membership. So they pay their registration fee. And once you pay registration fee, a WhatsApp group has been created for full membership. All our recordings are dropped into that WhatsApp page. So all the webinars we have been doing in the year from January to date is in that WhatsApp page. So that is how you will get the recording. You must show a kind of commitment to, because we pay for services of holding this webinar. It's not free. We pay Zoom and many other things are also into all this recording. So if you want the recording, just ask for the membership form and then pay the necessary fee. You will have access to all the webinars you have not even attended from the beginning of the year to from January to December. You have access to the recording. And when you pay, you renew your membership yearly. So in the next year if you pay your annual due, you also have access to recording of 2023. So that is how that one go. But because as you are presenting, because of little problem we had, we decided that the secretariat have decided that we are going to give out the slides free of charge to everybody that attends the seminar today. So we are going to look at the record, about 40 something of all that attended. We are going to send the just on the chat, please write your email address so that we are sure you attended. We are going to send you the slide. But if you want to have access to recording, you have to quickly ask for the registration membership form and then pay the necessary fee. Then you will have access to the recording. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think the message was clearly stated, and if you registered for this webinar, your email has already been captured. So as long as you did register, you'll be sent the slides for the seminar. Quickly, let's have Adeyinka Akande. Please go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you very much, Anchor. And I want to say a very big thank you for the invitation. I just saw something on my email address and I decided to be part of it. So I thank you for the invitation. I was just going to overemphasize the role of a supervisor in a quality research report. And I think that was a chunk that was missing in this presentation. You can't be good overnight, except you have somebody who is a very good guide. And I want to encourage young researchers that it's a very, very important part of being a good researcher who can turn out a good research report. Thank you very much. It's more of a comment than a question.
Thank you so much, sir, for that observation. And thank you for adding that in the need for supervision. So grateful for it. Thank you so much. All right, so let me have Bello Manso. Please go ahead with your question.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Manso Bello.
Thanks for that correction.
Please.
I was going to ask how to pronounce it the correct way. Thank you so much.
It's Manso Bello.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
All right. I have two things to say. One, I want to appeal to the organizing committee of webinar that we always missed the program when it started at 8 o'clock because that time is our prayer time. I don't know whether maybe it can be considered or not. That just is an appeal. Then secondly, I want to bring this issue to, because it has been bothering me so much about this abstract before the conference. Many times that you heard that you should send your abstract, which will lead to many researchers to cook abstract before writing of the full paper. You might see many people just write paper in 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, which I believe that any good paper, quality paper, cannot be written in 2-3 weeks. So I want to the senior colleagues here to please try to shed more light on how we are going to cope up with that kind of problem, because we don't have quality research. And I think that is what is bringing all these issues. Considering what we are writing before the conference, we will be asked to send our abstract. So many people do send their abstract before even the full paper. So that is just my take. I want you people to consider, and maybe you can bring in something, being the association as an innovation association. Thank you very much.
I think we have Professor Kafi Ese in the house from Ghana. I will want you to please help us answer that question, or give a word of advice to this our friend Bello on how to go about writing abstract before conference. Please, Prof, you can unmute yourself and help us say a word to help Bello and others.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful time. Abstracts are very important for conferences because they help in the planning. We usually want to know whether your abstract tells us about the sub-theme that you belong to. And because the sub-themes are part of the organization of the conference, it is important that when they are allocating rooms, for example, at the conference, those who have the same papers on the same sub-theme are put together, which is not related to us, not to accept your paper, as to who to come to write and who not to write. And also the abstract is a guide to you yourself as you prepare your final report. And as we have seen today, the first abstract is a common one. The second example, prefer the first example, where you show clearly the purpose of your study, you show clearly your methodology, then what you are expecting as your result. And there are two types of abstracts that we have. One is that you have not fully done your research. You have submitted the proposal and you are about to do it. So you can write the abstract with expectations. The other one is when you have completed your research and you have the result, the recommendations and everything ready. So most organizations and conferences usually prefer an abstract to help them as they prepare for their conferences. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful.
Thank you so much, Prof. I guess, I don't know if the questionnaire is still on the call. Are you still there? Bello?
Yes, I'm still there. Thank
Okay.
you. The question has answered some part of my question anyway.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much for that feedback. I missed someone out.
Hello?
I don't know if it's still on the call. Okay, Elisa.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, please go ahead, sir. I didn't get your title the last time you spoke. What's it, sir?
Professor Akonde.
Oh, Prof. Welcome, sir. So go ahead.
Thank you very much. I was going to respond to the last question.
Yes, sir.
And
Please
I
go ahead.
want to say that the issue of ethics is very, very important in research. And, because the last speaker spoke about cooking results or writing a research report, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. I think my advice is if you have not concluded your research, particularly in the sciences, And I'm from the medicine part of the sciences. I think you shouldn't just present an abstract. Wait until when you fully complete your research and you have results, you have discussions, recommendations, conclusions, recommendations. I think it will be better to get a very good abstract, because abstracts are not just for conferences, showcasing. Sometimes you might have to go and discuss at those conferences. So I think my advice is very, very ethical that you conclude everything before you present an abstract report. That's my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that contribution. Thank you so much, sir. It's really appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Now you have answered my question, sir. Thank you.
Okay, can I add something to that? Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, the issue of writing abstracts. Yes, abstract is a summary of the work that has been done already. Both people have spoken before me. That is the ETI, that is the room. But if you are going to wait till you get your paper done before you now write for a conference, you find out that many people will not be able to develop themselves. So my advice is that you can write a kind of proposal, okay? So in that your proposal, you will just tell the organizer that this, you will not just say it is already done, but this. Then you try to do a kind of overview, what you expect, what you think you expect. But whatever you write to the organizer will not be the final. By the time you finish your research, you will have to rewrite the abstract again. But that abstract you are calling abstract, you will let the organizer know that it's a proposal. This is what you intend to do. And you are also saying that this may likely be what the result will look like. So with that, you have not told a lie, because if you have conscience, you will not want to tell lie. And by the time you put something on paper, you know, if it is verbal lie, you can easily go back and tell the person you told lie that I'm sorry, what I told you before is not true. This is the truth. But when you have put something on paper, people must have read what you have written. So it's better to say it in such a way that people will know that what you are writing is a proposal, it's not yet concluded. And between that period where you write down your proposal, before they ask you to submit full paper, then you must have finished your research. Then you now submit the correct abstract and also correct research reports. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. So I think this last question generated
it's very important, sir. Sir, if possible, the Innovation Association should start introducing that proposal abstract instead of just abstract, because I think it will add value to what we are doing in terms of our research. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. I like the different points of views Prof was speaking about, coming from a medical perspective, and the last person coming from an academic angle. I think all the advice are very relevant. We should just be very careful what we are churning out to people to consume. I can still see some hands, so I'm so sorry I won't be able to take more questions because of time, but someone's hand was raised earlier, so I'll just give him the chance to ask the question, and that will be the last I'll be taking for tonight. I'm so sorry if we didn't take your question. I think you can send a question in on the WhatsApp group and someone will respond to that. So I think I left out Dr. Sunday Omopariola. I think I saw his hand raised earlier. Are you still on the call, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. The question has been answered.
Oh, all right, that's fine. Then let me give the slots back to Emmanuel Musa. He was the last person that raised their hand. Please ask your question. And that will be the last one for tonight.
Yeah. Good evening, professional colleagues and senior colleagues. I'm Emmanuel Musa calling from Kaduna. Actually, I'm trying equally to resonate more on the last person who spoke on the issue of abstract. I happen to come from the medical profession. Actually, I read more on public health. But along the line, I don't know how it kept coming. I've seen a lot of organizations and look, Emmanuel, please send us an abstract. Just send us an abstract. So sometimes this is one question I kept asking. I try to, I've understood what abstract is. Like what Professor have just said, I asked one of a colleague, please, can you still explain what an abstract is all like? He said, look, after you finish presenting a paper, that's the summary of it. I said, I have not presented. The ones I have is actually, it's not relating to what they really want me to do. And they said, okay, I need to present for probably conferences, global conferences, international conferences. But along the line, I kept shying away from sending these abstracts. Actually, I've shied away a lot of those abstracts. Most especially, some of them are very good organizations that just said, please send us abstract. And I did shy away from it. So what is the way forward? Do I just keep going on, or to just keep my light on, or just take on my conscience and just keep ignoring them? Thank you for that question, for the opportunity.
Okay, is it a question or you are contributing, Prof?
Yes, it's not a question. I'm not contributing. It's a question. I'm in a dilemma because you remember you have an organization telling you to send you an abstract, and which you have not done. I understand the explanation of what the prof from Ghana said and what the prof from Nigeria said. So, but I'm trying now to marry the two to understand which way out, which is the best way for me to follow. And some of these organizations equally want me to present papers. In fact, that's one that I'm supposed equally to present in Morocco by October. And I felt I have not had any information about what they want me to write. They said, send me an abstract. I ignored it. So what should be my way out now? How do I start getting to write more about the abstract and I've not written more papers or journals?
Thank you. I think we have a woman in the house, Dr. Agi from Benue State, Nigeria. Can you give a word of advice? Dr. Agi, please. Dr. Agi, if you are in the house, can you please unmute yourself? Say something on this issue of abstract. Hello, doctor.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Sorry, I just joined very late. And good evening, house.
Good evening.
On the issue of abstract, I think very little I will say on that, in addition to what the professors have said. I didn't listen to the presentation. An abstract, I think there's a way we put it. Like if it's a proposal, there are terms used to clarify the abstract that the work has not been done yet. The terms, what you said, you understand? But this idea of adding proposed abstract that one of the professors raised, I think I buy that idea. And again, the professor that talked about the medical aspect also made a very serious input. But this is a way we can also advocate that it is best to carry out a study before you even the abstract. I think it will do us good. And all this issue of you are not sure of what you are going to find out, and you are putting up the way we present it, maybe in futuristic terms, I think it will do us good. Otherwise, if there's a way we can, in research, try to do our findings before we even send, we can findings before we even put up the abstract. I think it will do us. However, this is what we have been doing. We send an advanced copy of an abstract, and then we begin to work towards it. So I have always saying that that issue is not that difficult. It's not proper. It's like you're already knowing where to land in the research. So many things are not. Thank you. I didn't follow from the contributions from the few questions I did, what I have come up with. Thank you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Ma. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I didn't quite hear you very clearly, but I could pick bits from what you said. I think the network isn't so good at your end. Yeah. So I don't know if Dr. Ario has any other thing to add to that.
Hello?
Hello, Ma. I said I heard you in bits. Seems your network isn't very stable.
Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of background noise.
I don't have any, maybe not from my end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Professor Kafyu, are you still on the call, sir?
Yes. I want to add a little to our friend, the one who is in a dilemma. What I want to say is that if a group invites you for a paper presentation and they are demanding an
Sorry,
abstract.
sir, let me cut you a minute. Sorry, sir. Dr. Agi, please, can you mute yourself? Your network is giving a feedback. Please, ma'am, mute yourself so that we can have a very clear conversation.
Okay.
Thank you, ma. The feedback is still here. I don't know. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So the advice I want to give is that if a group invites you, or if an institution invites you to present a paper and they are demanding an abstract, you can ask them what exactly they need in the abstract. So they can give you guidelines as to how to prepare for the paper. And as I said, the abstract are necessary for planning. So if you ask them what they expect in the abstract paper, you can tell them you have not completed your paper. So what do they want in the abstract? They will tell you what they want, and then you give it to them, and that will help you and help them as they prepare for your paper presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, please go ahead.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
yes.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Our anchor.
Okay.
Please, can you please continue?
Thank you so much. I think this has generated I think it's a good controversy. And thank you to everyone that gave a word or two, Professor Kafyu, Professor Akonde, Dr. Agi, Dr. Ario, everyone that said one or two things. Thank you so much for contributing to that. So I think the abstract thing is, it's wider than just answering questions. So I'm in my little way trying to put forward if we can have a conversation around it, maybe in the coming webinars. So by then I think we'll have a broader argument, if that's the word, so that we can satisfy everybody in all the fields. I know this is not a one size fits all, especially with fields that has more consequence than the other. Consequence, I mean maybe life now than the other. So I think that maybe we should propose having a webinar that would figure out and consider all these fields so that we can just oppose everything together. That's just my little contribution. With that, I think we've come to the end of the question and answer session. And I would like to hand over to the president of the association.
Thank you, our anchor. Please permit me to share this flyer, our next conference flyer. I already shared. I don't know whether it is feasible to all. Is it feasible?
Yeah, it's visible. It's okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we can equally expand it with our hands.
Okay, thank you very much. The next point in our agenda is to look at the flyer. We thank God for our webinar meetings that have been very, very helpful. We have been sharing together. I want to tell you that our annual conferences used to be richer than our webinar. And this time around, we are adding another cap to it, that it's not just the association alone that is in charge. It's like the government have started showing interest in what this professional association is doing. And they are trying to partner with the association because we have a common objective. The common objective is education, which is meant for individual and national development. So since we are into innovations and capacity building, the period of conferences, when we give ourselves fully to 5 days, 4 days, as the case may be, we can never be the same. So if I've been enjoying the webinar, I think you will enjoy our annual conference more than webinar. Those who have been coming, they can testify to what I'm saying. So by the grace of God this year, we'll be having our international conference. I will just quickly look at the flyer. I will read through, and then we will allow ourselves to make comments about the flyer, and before we begin to share the flyer. International Association for Innovations in Educational Assessment, in partnership with National Business and Technical Examination Board, presents 5th IIA Annual Conference, which is going to be physical and virtual modes. And the theme of the conference is Development-Driven Educational Assessment for Transformation and Survival. There is a call for paper. We seek contribution to the Journal of Innovations in Educational Assessment with the ISS number 2705-3830 prints, and also ISS number 270-538-759 online, volume 5, number 1 and number 2, and paper presentation at the annual conference of the association. So therefore, you can see from what I've read, the annual conference normally give us, we have 3 caps. One, it will be a forum to be able to present our findings to colleagues and to the whole world. So we present our findings, and our reports will be criticized by fellow colleagues. At the end of the conference, based on the corrections, we send in the paper for publication in journal. So when you publish, the audience will be more than those who attended the conference, will be able to have access to your research finding. What we have been doing so far, we have been having hard copy of our journals, but by the grace of God, this year we are going online, and not only going online, but our journal will be indexed in places that matter. So efforts is being done on that. Not only that, even our conference proceeding will be also indexed. We already gotten ISB number for our conference proceeding. So that means if you send your abstracts and the scientific committee accept your abstract, you are very sure that you can present even that conference proceeding to your institution for promotion, because the conference proceeding will have a ISBN number, and I'm sorry for that. Can we still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes, let's look at the something briefly because of time. On the list, we have educational research, development, and publishing strategies, enhancing assessment policies to reflect changing national and international curriculum, entrepreneurship, education, and employability, examination, security breach, formative and summative assessment, cybersecurity and educational assessment, globalization, education for national and international cohesion, inclusive educational assessment for learners with physical challenges, innovating and consolidating alternative methods of educational assessment in post-COVID era, intercultural communications and educational assessment, investigations in sciences, technology, and humanity-related discipline, issues of validity and reliability in educational research, lifelong learning for self and national development, machine learning, e-learning, e-assessment, and digital laboratory methods, medical research and assessment, nurturing innovations, creativity, and technology for sustainability, school proprietorship, management, and educational policies, challenges and solutions, university, industry, government partnership for transformation. So papers are welcome from these various sub-teams. And apart from presenting our papers, there will be forum for workshop. And this year we'll be looking at the following topics. 1, application of test theories in educational assessment. 2, introduction to big data and artificial intelligence in education. The date of the conference is from 17 to 21st October 2022. That's about 4 months' time. The venue of the conference is NAPTEP headquarters, 1 Ikubayi, Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria, West Africa. The keynote address will be presented by Professor Gbenga Adewale, a professor of measurement and evaluation, and currently is the director, Institute of Education, University of Ibadan, Nigeria, West Africa. The lead paper presenter is Professor Kaviu Ase, a professor of measurement and evaluation from University of Cape Coast from Ghana, West Africa. These are important days. Early registration starts from July 1, 2022, and hence September 30, 2022. Late registration starts from October 1, 2022, and hence October 17, 2022. Abstract and full paper submission start from June 15, 2022 to October 15, 2022. PowerPoint submission start from July 1 to October 15, 2022. Conference fees. We have on the conference fee, there are 6 Conference fee for international and local delegates attracts a sum of $250, while the local participants, that's Nigeria in Naira, they will pay 40,000 Naira only. For virtual participation, those who will not be physically present, both delegates will pay $75 and Nigerians will pay 20,000. Conference fee for students that have ID card, they are expected to pay $150, and for Nigerians, they are expected to pay 20,000 if they will be there physically. And for virtual participants, they are supposed to pay $50 and 10,000 Naira if they are Nigerians. Then membership fee, membership fee, and also annual due for those who are already registered member. For delegates, we have to pay $50, and for Nigerians, 10,000 Naira. The same thing for those who will not be there physically and you are going to participate virtually. For international delegates, you have to pay $50 and Nigerian 10,000 Naira. Conference tour fee, there will be side attraction. Delegates and students, for those who will go for conference tour, we expected to pay $50 or 10,000 Naira equivalent. Then journal publication fee, for the print, those who want hard copy, it will be $100 or 25,000 Naira, both for physical participants and the virtual participants. Journal publication fee for online for the $75, 20,000 Naira for Nigerians. But let us note that conference participants will not pay publication fee. Once you attend the conference and you pay either 40,000 or 250,000, and if it is virtual participant, you pay $75 or you pay 20,000 Naira, you will not be charged any publication fee again. If your papers skate through the editorial work, your publication will be done free of charge. So that is the innovation we are putting in this year. Unlike how we do it before, you pay conference fee, and after that, we ask you to pay publication fee. This year is different. Once you attend the conference and you pay your conference fee, you will have your paper will be published free of charge. But after the conference, if there are people who are not opportune to attend the conference and yet they love our journal and they want to publish, those are the people that will pay the specified fee of the publication fee, that is $100 or 25,000 Naira. Now, what are the side attractions? What are the benefits of attending this conference or publishing with the association? One, there will be welcome reception and side events. You will have access to certificate of participation. You will also have access to conference program or defense. You'll be given admission to all seasons, including the plenary and parallel session during the conference. You also have access to live stream season during and after the conference. There will be refreshments. Then your paper will be included in the online conference proceeding with ISBN 978-970-9809. Now, bank details of the association. For local participant, that is Nigeria, account number is, as you can see there, 31302848184. Bank name, First Bank Nigeria PLC. For foreign participant, dollar account, SWIFT code FBN INGLA. Account number 203-4675-366. Account name, International Association for Innovations in Educational Assessment. Bank name, First Bank of Nigeria. Sort code 011086398. Address along Osuleja Road, Buhari, Abuja, FCT, Nigeria. After necessary payment, send a request for the conference registration form to info@iaia.org and iaiinternational@gmail.com. You are expected to indicate your intended mode of participation in the conference, whether it is physical or virtual, while submitting the form. Method of submission of abstracts and papers. Send all correspondence to that email address, the two of them. For further inquiries and room reservation, call those numbers. And then the conference, the IIA country representatives, we have Alfred Busmai, who is representing us in Botswana. We have Professor Kafi Ese, who is representing us in Ghana. We have Associate Prof. Idowu Akande representing us in Nigeria. We have Mr. Solomon representing us in Republic of Benin. We have Dr. Musa Adekunle Ayanwale representing us in South Africa. We have Mr. Efaristo Tukuma Abwa, who is representing us in Uganda. We have Mr. Sunday Fula, who is representing us in Zambia. Their telephone numbers are there on the handbill or the flyer if you want to make contact with them. The chief host of the conference is the president of the association, IAIA. The address is there, IAIA Secretariat, FCT Abuja, Nigeria. And the co-host is Professor Ifeoma Isiogu Abani, who is the registrar and chief executive of National Business and Technical Examination Board, National Headquarters, Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. Thank you very much for your rapt attention. That is what we have on the conference flyer. The scientific committee are the one that gave us the flyer, and they have really discussed. So if there's any issue, you have questions, you have something to say about the flyer, before we flag, and then we begin to advertise it and send it to all groups and everywhere as from tonight, because this is the flyer now that we sell what we want to sell, that will advertise the association conference. Please, some members of the scientific conference, the LOC member, they are in the house tonight. So you have any issue, you have any question, please feel free to talk about the flyer, and they are there to answer your question. Thank you very much. Anchor, over to you. If there's any reaction, let us know.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, so I just think in the next 5 minutes, let's see if anybody has anything to say. If not, we'll just round up already. Please, if you have anything to say on the announcement that has been given. By the way, that's the 5th edition of the annual conference brought to you by IAIA. Yeah. How do I pay the conference fee? I'm in Ghana. That's a question.
Okay, can I answer the question immediately?
Yes, please.
Okay, the question is on the chat. So what you do is you see that you have the account number there. If you are from Ghana, you pay in dollars. So, and you just go straight to your bank. You give them the SWIFT code, give them the account number, and you are good to go. The sort code, give them the sort code, the bank name, just as you have there. Just present the flyer to them, and then give them 250. The money will hit the association accounts. That's how to go about it if you are not in Nigeria. But if you are in Nigeria, your own account number is just pay to either transfer to that account, or you go to bank.
All right, thank you. Is there any other reaction?
Bank to pay, any method will be acceptable. 028184.
Will certificates be given to virtual participants? That's from.
Yes, everybody that register for the conference and participate in the conference will be given certificates immediately.
Okay, Bello, please go ahead with your question.
It's very short one. Sir, Is there any additional money for the extra copy of publication in case your paper is scaled through?
Hello?
He's
Hello,
asking
sir.
if there's an extra pay if you need an extra copy of the publication.
Yes, if you need extra copy, yes, it will be made available, but it will attract costs because everyone is entitled to a copy of the journal, and also we also have access to the online edition too. By the grace of God, that is our dream this year, that our journal will also be online. There will also be hard copy too.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Ajibade Victor is asking if there is a variance between the certificates that will be given to the virtual and is there any difference in the two?
Hello, there is a noise at the background. Can you repeat the question, please?
The question is if the certificates for people that attend virtually and physically will be the same.
Yes, because whether you are what you are doing tonight, what is the same. We are not there. We are not all of us are together now. So many of us are joining virtually. So the certificate will be the same. Hello.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I hope.
I think there are two participants that are together with their device there. So the reverberation, the echo will continue.
Please, if you are not, you can please mute. Can you, if you are not talking or you are not speaking, please mute yourself. Anchor, is there another person who have a
There's
question?
no other question. I think this should be all for everyone. And I think this is a good point to wrap up the seminar for tonight. It's been an engaging 2.5 hours, and thank you so much to everyone that stayed through till now, and to everyone that made a contribution or the other. We do appreciate, and we do hope that you not just learn, but you make use of the knowledge to improve on yourself. And to some of us that have people that we are tutoring, we also make use of the knowledge to help in as many ways as we can. Thank you so much to the facilitator, as we wish Dr. One a very quick recovery. I would say it's a good point to have Ajibade Victor to say the closing prayer.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello.
Thank you. We thank God for giving us the grace to attend this webinar today. We thank God for what He have done for us. We pray that this gathering will continue and the association will continue to work stronger and stronger in Jesus' name.
Amen.
In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm so grateful that you stayed through with us up till now, and thank you so much for always. Until next time we come your way, my name is Peace. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you for your participation. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin Sodeme, for attending this webinar. Which part of the country are you from? Hello, Mr. Benjamin Sunday. Sondumi. Unmute yourself. What of Mr. Isiaka Kayode? Thank you for attending the conference. The webinar. Where are you from? Okay, good night, everybody.